But do you want to know why I prefer to watch a movie at a theater over watching a movie at home? Don't get me wrong, technology is great, and I do love rewatching an endless category of movies at home, but it has its disadvantages. The theater eliminates a big element most don't even think about: your phone. I know I'm not alone in this, but I am a person who will pause a movie at home before it really even gets past the opening credits. I'll do a quick IMDb or Google search on the cast or any movie details. It's a gross habit that I must admit I incorporate with every new movie I watch while at home. But there's something to be said about being at a packed house at an opening night for a new flick, or even an empty theater on a Tuesday afternoon all alone if that's your fancy. Either way, you are immersed within the film. I don't know if there's anything supernatural about it, or if the fact your body has no choice but to react to the 65-foot screen playing out in front of you. Not to mention a surround sound blaring at a decibel no home theater could ever match. Also, who wants to pay $15 to sit on their phones and piss off fellow moviegoers with that ever-glowing light that even when camouflaged is still a dead giveaway? I think we can all agree that most people fall into the film and follow the rules, and this is great when you can find a show like this. Because I can tell you another disadvantage to the whole internet while watching feature. Old films become sad, because many of the times I will look and see a large portion of the cast has passed away after all these years. And it's not that I couldn't assume that an old movie doesn't have people who have passed away, but the truth of the matter is, you watch it differently knowing that this is their body of work that they left. Unfortunately, that truth even applies to directors. And that's the case for today's film, from my all-time favorite director, the guru of gore, horror master Wes Craven. The reason I think his movies work so well was the fact that he found a way to apply family roots, Americana suburbia within an exploit picture. It made audiences involved. They related with the characters, which kept them engaged during the assault on screen. One of the best examples of this is the film we are discussing today, the 1977 classic, The Hills Have Eyes. The simple tale of a family who gets stranded in the desert and has to fight off a group of mutant inbreds to make it out alive. Being in the middle of nowhere at someone else's whim is terrifying even to this day. But while we are on the topic of phones, could you imagine being stranded in the middle of nowhere without a phone? I think it's safe to say 75% of the younger generation would be put in a situation they've never faced. This flick has lived on for decades with drones of fans returning year after year to watch this summer horror. Beyond excited to talk about this one with you guys, and it's been a long time coming. So here is our take on The Hills Have Eyes. Boom! Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week, clapping them cheeks, Mr. Ozark Mark. He's the best producer in the world. If you haven't met him yet, well, now you have. All right, the greeting part's over. And we're right here in the middle of a warm summer, Mark. Big movie today. This is a summer movie. It takes place in the heat. And I know you don't really like the heat, but it also has German Shepherds and angry dad freakouts, so I don't know. I've been really excited to talk about this with you. So what do you think? What do you think? What's going on over there in your brain? I think Ozark, Mark.
I think we are ready for a classic here today in the summer series. I hate summer. God damn it, it's hot. I'm already sweating. We have just started, but that's okay. I got antiperspirant. We are here. And ready to bang out another one here in the battle of the summer festivals, or whatever
Summer of Horrors.
Yeah, that's it. So we are talking about 1977, way back then. That's that's 40-something years old.
Yeah, bro.
40-something years old. Still talking about it today. That is the one and only Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes. It's just fun to say. It's a fun time. It's like the people under the stairs.
The people under the stairs.
It's hard not to say it like that after you say it, but The Hills Have Eyes, kind of like I try to do the old, like, you know, the guy with the deep voice that did the commercials. The Hills Have Eyes. You know, you try to, like, make it sound scary, like it's a scary trailer.
I think you'd be better off doing Sandra Bullock.
Hey,
It's The Hills Have Eyes. I'm not in it.
I'm sorry. A lot of people probably don't find that funny, but for some reason, I find that hilarious. And dead on. Thank you.
So, folks, before we jump into the synopsis on this, honestly, this is a pillar of horror here. We're talking about Wes Craven. So, before we jump into this, I want to give a nice little reminder to each and every one of you guys. We pride ourselves on being a show that doesn't water ourselves down with advertisements, and we know that you guys like that too. And honestly, I could say we're pretty thankful that we stay afloat through our bonus content on our Patreon. If that sounds like something that interests you, you can support us for cheaper than a cup of coffee and, just a bunch of bonus extra shit on there. I believe there's over 20 hour-long episodes on there. Is that correct, Mark? Mm-hmm. So that's good stuff. So, folks, if you're looking for a cheap, fun way to support the show, we appreciate it, and some bonus content, check out patreon.com/sloppyhorror. All right, back to The Hills Have Eyes.
The Hills Have Eyes. What a title, though.
It is. That's a strong title. I mean, it's been out so long that, like, your brain just kind of skips over it because you just know the movie. But if you really think about that, that is a badass title.
It is a badass title. There's some kind of power in it when you say it. If you haven't said it out loud before, say it out loud a couple times.
Yeah.
You'll be empowered.
So, Ozark, Mark, here's what's going on. I'm going to lay it down for these people. All right, I'm going to lay it down for all these folks out here because they need an explanation, right? They need an explanation.
We need a synopsis.
Well, we have a family, all right, and they're on vacation. And, it's kind of they're not little bitty kids, okay? We're not dealing with little baby kids here. So we have the two daughters, Lynn and Brenda, and Lynn is played by the legendary Dee Wallace, by the way, all right?
Dee Wallace.
They're like in their late 20s, 30s. Anyways, they're riding with mom and dad, like, in their 60s, and it was a vacation thing. They got their boyfriends with them. Lynn has her baby with her. It's like back in the days when they'd load up the station wagon and attach a trailer to it. The good old days.
Speaking of which, I forgot that a station wagon was fully capable of pulling a trailer.
I know, dude. Them things were hosses.
I know.
Those were hosses.
Built to last back in them days.
Yeah. So, Dad's rolling along, he gets gas, they go to a creepy gas station, which, nice little foreboding. Happens a lot in scary movies, creepy gas stations. It's just a part of the, it's part of the DNA, if you will. Well, they get moving on, because they're looking for some old, mining site, mom and dad are. They're looking for some old mining site. Well, out here in the middle of the desert, nothing really happens, except there's, Air Force testing. There's, giant jets flying around, and if you've ever been around a jet at all, like first person kind of experience, it literally vibrates your whole body. You would be froze in fear if one of those was coming down to attack you.
Dude, well, when they're that low, here in America, if you've ever been to a Labor Day sporting event near that or some kind of remembrance of America, they fly 6 jets over the stadium. It's loud as hell, and they're still way up high. These were right down, about to drop bombs on these people. Oh my.
Yeah, so that's what happens. Dad's, which in a very funny moment, Dad's having a freak out. He's telling everybody, shut up, be quiet. And then all of a sudden, this jet comes in pretty low, and it freaks out the whole family. Baby's crying. Dad's instinct is just to speed up, and they start going fast. They end up getting run off the road. And their tire goes out. But they're in the middle of nowhere. So Dad's all right. They all end up kind of splitting up. Dad's all right, I'm going to walk back to that creepy gas station, which was 20 miles away. All right. Everybody else just kind of held post, tried to figure out what to do. Well, all of a sudden, a mutant family comes out of the hills and starts fucking with these people. And they're like cannibals, and they're also just this weird... It's reminiscent of that Sean Bean story, I think it is, the old Scottish family in the medieval times. This was a real thing. They people thought the place was haunted, but it's really his inbred family, and they'd come out and eat people. Sean Beanie or Sean Bean, I don't remember his name, but I know it's based off of that story. And these are a weird mutant family, and eventually at one point they get a hold of the baby. People end up dying. Lots of stuff going on. So we're going to get into all of it. But I think that's a pretty good synopsis of what happens in The Hills Have Eyes. They got to fight off this mutant family while they're stuck in the desert.
Yes. That pretty much sums it up. Very good.
there's something about the feel of this movie that is very much its own. It has its own atmosphere. It has its own pulse. It just has its own energy.
A lot of those older horror movies had that.
Yeah, and
Like, you don't get that with the new age horror movies shooting in like 16.
well, yeah, I think they're like
too.
35. Yeah,
Yeah.
35 now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just that feel just feels more horror than a very clear HD camera.
Absolutely.
You know? Like, you don't get the same feeling as it. Like, you're watching this, and now it's hard. It's a little bit harder to watch it these days because it's from 77. So, it's not going to appeal to everybody.
It's almost like you want to watch
on
on an old bubble TV. I
Yeah.
don't mean to cut you off, but it is weird watching it on the flat screens because you're like, this wasn't made for this.
No, it like kind of looks even more like shit compared to what it should be. But yeah, I mean, you get that feeling. You don't get that feeling from new horror movies. Like, watch this. If you just turn this on at any part of this movie and somebody came in, never seen it before, never heard of The Hills Have Eyes. At any point in this movie, they can walk in, see how it's filmed, see the quality of it, everything, and be like, is this a horror movie? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Is this a 70s exploit horror film?
Yes.
Right on, sir.
Man, you hit the nail on the head there, pal.
And, I mean, once again, we're talking about Wes Craven. I mean, he started with, like, The Last House on the Left, which is brutal. You know, I'm not saying that's his first film project, but, like, the first horror hit that he had. And then he tried to go back and do some normal films. It happened with all of them. Tobe Hooper, Sean Cunningham, even John Carpenter. All of them tried to step outside of horror. Then they realized this is home. Home is where the heart is. And that's what he did. He came back and followed up with this one. And it's like in your face. There's like some, I wouldn't say, here's the thing with newer movies, like when you're dealing with like rape, I'll say it like that so it's not as, mean. But,
Rape.
Yeah, well, you can't just say it hard, you got to say it nice.
You can say it hard.
Yeah.
You can't say it with a hard R.
He's raping this girl. Yeah, that sounds. But there are a couple,
Raping.
or how TikTok, a couple essay scenes like the sexually assault. They'll put essay. There's a scene in here where that's happening, but it's very much implied because you're not like it's not as brutal as Last House on the Left, the more modern version. You hear grunts and shit like this isn't.
You just hear screaming, somebody on top of them breathing, and they're in missionary. So that's all you need to do. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna have to put rape in a movie, that's really the way to do it because some people are into rape scenes. Some people are not into rape scenes. I'm not personally. I don't need to see all that. Like, it's
I
fine.
don't
like,
either. But like when it's done, like it just has to be done tastefully. It can't just be like exploit for exploit's sake. Like sometimes, like when you have it makes sense with this mutant family trying to like breed and like make this.
Sure.
It made sense. I believed that's what they were going to do with the girls. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you felt like, oh shit, these girls better get the fuck out of here. Like Pretty City Girls, like with these mutant people, like get out.
Yeah, you put two and two together. That's pretty much what you're gonna get.
If my lady was in that situation, I would be coming to the rescue because I would have a few thoughts on mind of what was about to happen, and that would be top of the list. So you got a little bit of that going on, but there's just a level of carnage, like without kind of care. Like they're just. And it looks a little dim in modern comparison because obviously practical effects, even just stage blood looks a lot better now. It just looked, the blood in this looks like, very much...
It was kind of half and half. Like some of it kind of looked a little bit more like real, like it was leaning towards the real blood, and some of it looked like the red paint.
Yeah, it looked like the old Dracula movies, the Curse of Frankenstein.
It was kind of a weird mix. Which is good though.
Yeah, for me, it still works in that aspect just because, I watched this a lot growing up, so obviously I'm talking from a biased standpoint, but like watching it now, it just has an interesting look because the violence is different. Like it's got a different pace to it now after watching, like if I go into a Conjuring movie, I know like, okay, here's the pre-scare, here's the calm down, okay, here's the pop scare. Like you understand like the recipe for it, how it's going to happen, like, oh, I heard a noise. Then it's just the cat. Oh, it's just you, Marbles. And then, bam, that's when you fucking get got, like after you get calmed down.
That's when you get got.
That's exactly what happens. And it's it's classic. You know, some pop scares, I think some people are like, yeah, they just don't scare me. But I think your body understands the formula. Like, you understand the pacing of the movie. You know when it's coming, so it's just not as like...
If you watch enough horror movies, yeah, you will understand. Because there's basically three different formulas.
Yeah, and then another is like the shot where you're not getting much of the shot. You got your character, but you can't see behind them. Like, you just block out vision. Classic. It's just how things work, so you know when that's coming. But these older movies are usually like, they were the kind of pioneers making that recipe. And sometimes it's just got a different off-paced beat to it where you're like, yeah, I just wasn't expecting that. Like, honestly, the whole RV situation, how that went down. I mean, I'm going ahead and saying, like, that was my favorite part. Like the showdown where they all started fighting and the mom got shot and...
She grabbed a broom.
Bro,
I thought that was gonna work.
I died. She just.
I want to know. These guys have guns. They're trying to rape us. Let me get the broom, and that will get it.
Like,
Stop.
let me lay this down. Like, somehow the family got separated and they left the RV, but there was still like the mom and Brenda were in the RV, and the mutant family goes in there, and they have them, and then all of a sudden Michael Berryman, the guy who plays Pluto, he comes out and runs away as the girls are coming back. And they're like, oh, shit, somebody's in there. And they run in to check on her sister, and there's another guy in there. And he's holding their baby, right? And it's like this one was Mars, I think, that had her. You know, he was holding the baby, right? Mm-hmm. And Dee Wallace walks in, and she's like, what are you doing with my baby? He says, get out of my way, bitch. Like, get out of my way, bitch. Like... The way he says it is just funny. They end up in a tussle. The baby falls. Baby's okay. Baby's like, it's a safe fall. All right? The baby's cool. But then the mom walks in and sees what's going on. And she just immediately picks up this broom and starts hitting this guy in the head. And you're thinking like, well, if you got hit with the stick of the broom hard enough, that would hurt you. Not the stick of the broom, folks. The broom part. She, like it was a raccoon on the porch. She, get out! Just starts smacking him in the face with it. And then this motherfucker pulls out a gun and just blasts her in the chest. And if you go slow frame on her getting shot, she's like, ooh! It is so funny. And because you're just not expecting all that to happen in that short time. You're like, hold on. First off, I wasn't expecting to laugh like this. He got hit in the head. She just shot her. Just like, fuck you, bitch. Get out of my way, bitch. Like, bro, it's so much for my brain to take in. But that's a lot of the reason why I like horror movies is the unpredictability of it, even the dialogue and just the weird feel. If I watch older movies, even if, they're not horror, sometimes I could still predict it. Like, A Wonderful Life, yeah, you just understand it's going to be a good ending. Christmas is going to be good. Like, you get the formula, but horror movies, they're just a weird beat to them. And this, if someone were to say, what's kind of a weird, kind of horror movie like that with weird rhythm, weird timing, I'd say The Hills Have Eyes, because it's just shot so different. Like, it was just different. Even with the dogs, I love the dogs in this.
Oh, the dogs! I'm torn between two favorite parts. I love the dogs. I'm glad not both of them died. I get it; it's a horror movie. Animal 80% of the time gets it. So but at least the dog, I think his name was Killer, or whoever.
Well, there was Beauty, and then there was Beast.
Well, it was Beast. Yeah, it's a Beast. So I feel bad for Beauty. I have a German Shepherd myself. So that sucks. Mm-hmm. But Beast, on the other hand, like his little shove kill that he did.
Amazing.
And then I love how he takes, I think it's Pluto, right, the ball guy?
Yeah.
When he starts taking out Pluto slowly and keeps biting him and fucking with him.
Dude, his ankle
my
fucked
God.
up. That looked really good for 1977.
It really did. And Beast came through, and he was the hero of the movie, really, so.
He was. He took a gunshot and still lived, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was
a beast, for real.
Now, let me ask you this, Mark. I feel like if I were to put that movie on in the background with your eyes closed, you can hear a German Shepherd whine.
Oh, my God. Dude, no.
They have a certain level to them where they're, like, alert.
The German Shepherd whine is the realest thing in this world, okay? If you have a German Shepherd, you already know what I'm talking about. If you have a German Shepherd that doesn't whine, that's not a German Shepherd, okay? Because that whine... I permanently will hear this whine echoing in my life, probably for the rest of my life, because I've heard it for like 7 or 8 years straight every day, whining about something. Like that German Shepherd whine is real.
Yeah, and like
so when I was
hear them
watching
dogs,
this movie, I couldn't tell if it was the dog on the screen or my dog whining. I'm like, "What's wrong, Trigger?" And she's just sleeping. I was like, "Oh, it's not you. Fuck, my bad." You know, sorry.
I believed every bit of that though, because those dogs took off. They're like, "Fuck this!" Like my people are in trouble. They do have a persistence with them.
Or she does, and then when they whine, they know there's something. They're trying to tell you something, or something is irritating. Because she'll just sit there and whine at the door. I'm like, why are you whining at the door? Like, there's nothing in the doorway. Like, why? Obviously, it's a cat because she can hear a lot better than me. A cat's doing something that it's not supposed to do because German Shepherds love to be the hall monitor.
Right.
Herders. She's the hall monitor. Like, every time I yell at another animal, she there's backing me up. Like, yeah, what he said. Get him. Mm-hmm. She does that shit.
Yeah, very similar scene followed up 10 years later in The Lost Boys when a Nook pushed the vampire in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "We got the one that looked like Twisted Sister." Well, Nanook helped us. Like he just came in and got the dog launch, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And my other favorite part was when it's after they wrecked, and the dad is just out there. He's just sitting there. I think he's smoking. He's just staring off at the desert, like 30 years on the force. I've been shot at, stabbed, whatever. All else he says, he's like, and the thing that takes me out is my family and a camper.
That's my wife and her goddamn directions. Yeah, man, he just made it for me too. Like he was really funny. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not an Ohio State football fan. I don't like Ohio State, but Bobby is an Ohio State fan. Well, he has an Ohio State shirt on. Okay, so maybe it was ironically because they're from Ohio. I don't know. But he kind of had to be like the hero of the situation, you know. He had to overcome at spots. He was kind of annoying, but then what I found funny about it was how Doug at the end, and the dude just looks just like Ringo Starr. He had that like Ringo Starr, Sonny Bono look.
He looks like Uncle Rico.
Yeah, dude, bro. I like how they each kind of had their own little bouts with the people. That was fun in that aspect, and they eventually overcome and they take these mutants down. They kill their asses.
Yeah. You know what I don't understand?
What?
Who in the hell tells their family that him and his wife needed a little alone time and go bang in the back of the station wagon that's attached to the camper?
I don't know,
Who
dude.
does that? That's kind of weird. Like, your family is right outside. Those windows aren't tinted. The station wagon is connected to the camper. So any movement that you are doing in the act is also moving the camper.
And not to mention he's told, Doug, who's going into the sack, that's what he said, right? He's talking with Lynn. But Lynn, that's Bobby's sister. Right? So that's Bobby's sister. And he's like, "Where you guys going?" "The station wagon." "Why?"
Who does that? That's so weird.
In the sack.
I couldn't do it. Like, maybe in the middle of the night when everybody's sleeping and you're quiet about it. Yeah. But not when you just, like, after you wrecked and you're in the middle of nowhere, you wait a couple hours, like, we got to go in the back of the station wagon.
In the sack.
In the sack. They were blinking. I guess because you have to.
Making whoopee.
I guess it doesn't make sense in this. It would have made more sense if they would have went somewhere in the darkness behind a big rock and did it, and then one of them got killed or something. That would have been more horror movie. Like, I guess you had to put sex in there or something. Maybe. I was like, that's fucking. I just saw it. I was like, that's fucking weird.
That's really fucking weird. Judy. The late, like the creepy girl, she wasn't creepy because she kind of helped at the end.
Yeah.
She was like a part of the family that tried to get away. Let me, she's been in Ruby, not Judy. She's been in quite a few horror movies, and she was in Tobe Hooper's Eaten Alive. I mean, she was in a lot of horror films at that time. But even though I wouldn't say it's like top tier acting, she really is a place in a horror movie. So Ruby, man, she was a cool character to that. She was like added She was the one person of the family that like wasn't a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of fun to me, and I think it's cool when actors can go from. I mean, she worked with Wes Craven and Tobe Hooper.
No,
Like,
I thought
hell
she
yeah.
was. I thought she was one of the best actors in the movie. Not compared to whatever the blonde daughter's name is.
Brenda?
Yeah, Brenda, the smaller one. Dude, her scream. Oh man, ear piercing. It goes on for a while in this movie, and it's an older movie, so the audio is distorted because we don't have fancy electronical equipment like we did for recording. So it's just an ear piercing scream.
Yeah, peaks everything.
Yeah, it peaks like everything, like red line, like oh man.
Not to mention,
Sometimes that's when it gets a little bit hard to watch there. It's like, I understand, like, this is a horror movie, you gotta scream, but damn, that peaking is not good.
yeah, man. Not to mention, she's like the worst girl you want to be with. Like Bobby, like had to be so mad. Bobby! He's shut up, bitch. like he just had this like he didn't have no choice. He wasn't allowed to overreact.
Right. He had to be the man.
He had to be the man.
He had to be the big, strong man.
I just like that, man. Wes Craven usually has that where the family overcomes.
Yeah.
Even in The Hills, I mean, obviously Last House on the Left, even on Nightmare on Elm Street, Dad comes and finds Mom going to the bed with Nancy. They save everything. It's a family affair. And Scream, boyfriend's breaking through the girlfriend's window. Also Nightmare on Elm Street. He has a lot of similarities. You like his movie Red Eye? It's a thriller. Who comes to the rescue at the end? It's dad and daughter combo fucking up the killer. And I like that. There's a point, because he goes real exploit, and he goes real, like, raw, and real fuck you, like, in your face. What are you going to do about it? But then it ends with, like, kind of on a good note. Sometimes very dark, but, like, in the sense where usually the family comes out as the winner. And I like that.
I love them old movie ending, because this is from 77. I love how this movie ended. It's so funny to me, because, like, it ends with we'll call him Uncle Rico, because I forget his name in the
Doug.
movie. Doug, yeah, Doug just, beating, got the last mutant guy, like, killing him, and then
And then
after,
he's stabbing him.
Yeah, after the last stab, it just goes red, and it says the end.
Yes.
That's it. There's no watching them how they get out of there. Nope. It's just they kill them. The end.
It's over.
Like, all right. The end. When's the last time you watched a movie these days that ended with the end?
Yeah,
Ever.
usually like Tarantino will do that, or somebody trying to like, nod to an old film. But yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah.
I like how they open with all the credits, and the old films just had a touch to them. Even those old Hammer films, dude, the score comes in so loud, but you just know it's a picture, man. They have all the actors laid out. You're like, all right. And which is kind of nice because beforehand you're like, oh, these are the actors' names. Like, all right. I don't know. That helps for me, or like the character names, so to speak, because sometimes, man, people are like, hi, that's Bo. You're like, what was it? Joe? Bo? What's that guy's name? Who the fuck is that? Like, you just forget certain names very easy. I'll do that with subtitles on like some Lord of the Rings or I'll watch subtitles a lot, but like especially like some Game of Thrones shit, bro. There's no way I'm going to be able to process what the hell you just said if it's a very fictional thing. I'm like, what the fuck did he just say? Oh, okay, I can read that. I know what that means. I can like put that together. I know how to say it now. So that's what ended up happening. Mm-hmm. I like how everybody in the mutant family is named after a planet. You got like Mars, Pluto, Mercury, and then there's just Ruby. You're like, that's not fair.
Oh man, what was the part of? Yeah, so this random part just had me dying laughing. Who's I don't remember her name, but it's like the older white lady that's kind of dressed like a Native American in there.
Oh, the mom in there. Yeah,
the
it was like the mom
there.
of the family. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just sitting there laying down, and I guess Ruby took the baby, and Mars, I'm pretty sure it's Mars, came running into the cave, and she just jumps up, like, what's going on? She just popped up like Undertaker, with her eyes up, what's going on?
What a weird little family, man.
What a bunch of weirdos.
What a bunch of fucking little weirdos.
Great makeup work, too, on the dad. I loved his split nose.
I thought that was really cool.
That was very cool.
I liked Grandpa Fred. The guy that ran the gas station. He was the one responsible for the family. He made that family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Grandpa Fred.
Yeah, he gave a little backstory when, because the dad got back to the gas station, and when he did, the old man tried to shoot at him, and then the old man tried to, like, hurry up and try to off himself. And he's like, get out of that rope, goddammit! Like, he's just like yelling at him, like, get down from there! Tell me what's going on! Like, I don't know, they just had such a tone to it. That's what I love about it, the whole dad freak out. But that motherfucker, while he's talking with Grandpa Fred, he gets snatched up by Papa. Papa Jupiter. That was the main guy's name, the guy with the split nose. He comes through the window in like a classic window jump through scene. It's like Jason's done it. Many people have done it. It just looked awesome. He comes through and, pulls Grandpa out. He fucks him up. And then when Dad goes out, Jupiter gets him too. But they eventually end up roasting him alive, like burning him alive.
Once they get him on the ground and they're checking him, it just camera goes to him and there's just slight smoke coming out of his mouth.
Yes.
Like he's just roasting.
The mom did a good freak out right there.
Oh yeah, she did. That's not my mama. She said that's not my husband or whatever it is.
Yeah, she did.
Again, audio peaked. A little bit rough.
Yep.
A little bit rough on the ears there.
It hurt my ears. And that mom, she was like, her name is Virginia Vincent. That was the actress's name. She's passed away now. But she did like The Return of Dracula, like, some old like Hammer flicks. She was pretty hot back in the day doing Dracula flicks. So also well acquainted with horror. And I like that. And, Michael Berryman, he's had a career in horror. But he was born, obviously, he says, like, with 26 birth defects. Like, he doesn't have sweat glands, and but Rob Zombie's incorporated him in movies, and he's just I don't know, he's also a part of horror history, and I like that. Pluto's a cool character. He's kind of cool, man. Yeah. I like their little outfits. Kind of Mad Max-like. It's just got, I don't know, it's got a cool feel, because you believe how people could be out there like
I love how they have walkie-talkies.
I know.
Just didn't expect them to have walkie-talkies for some reason. I don't know why.
They had the technology.
I didn't expect mutant mountain people to have walkie-talkies. It's like the list of things I think they would have.
Just eating people. They were going to eat the baby.
I know. Well, it's probably like veal. You know what I mean? Like a baby cow.
That's probably how they were looking at it.
Probably, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, eat baby things all the time.
Baby toes.
What do you think eggs are? Baby chickens.
I ate eggs this morning.
Eggs.
How you like your eggs?
I either eat them scrambled or sunny side up.
Okay.
Yeah, sunny side up when I'm feeling a little.
I like over medium. Over medium.
Over medium. I'm sure those are good too. Dude, eggs, I'm starting to be a fan of eggs on burgers. Never was at first. The egg on a burger. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
Egg.
Okay. Now, this is great and all, but there's a couple things that we need to get into and learn about this movie, since we're getting all informative here on this episode.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the What Do You Know here. This is a segment here where we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie, The Hills Have Eyes, 1977, by Wes Craven. Now, if this is your first time here, this is how this is going to work. We're going to tell you things we know about this movie. Now, if you already know things that we know things on this movie, then you're going to have a regular we know-gasm. But if you don't know what we know, you're about to find out what we know, and then you're going to have a great we know-gasm. So everybody's still going to be satisfied, just some of you might have a little bit longer pleasure than some others here with these facts in your brain that I'm about to just shoot right in there. But first, why don't you tell me something that you may or may not know about this movie?
Look here.
I am looking.
So that, if it makes you feel any better.
I hope not.
So, the part in the movie where you would say that would be the hardest for people to digest, the sexual assault scene.
The rape?
Yes, exactly, that part. So, here's what happened. That was like the first day of shooting, so they really got the business right away, okay?
Literally.
But there was like a sheet in front of the actors. So you have Michael Berryman, he played Pluto, and then Susan Lanier, she was the one who played Brenda, right?
Yeah.
So they decided to break the ice and get everybody, going on set. So when they were about to say action, they pulled down this sheet, and those two were making out like heavy passionately. They were making out because they're not supposed to be. It was supposed to be like the intense scene or whatever. They weren't. They were just making out, and then it was like a rib. They were joking with everybody. It was supposed to be a rough scene, and they were sitting there acting all romantic, making out.
Oh, they went HBO at midnight on them.
Yeah, they went a little soft core. They went sweet. They went, 7th grade dance.
They went delicate.
Yeah, but
They went what teenagers do in their room with their pillow.
Yeah, because even like in the movie, it doesn't show them like lips to lips at all. So like they weren't expecting that. They thought it was, he's gonna be like rough and rough. That's not what they saw.
Talk about a surprise on the set here.
Hey, surprise, no big deal.
Hey,
so what do you know?
Hey, surprise. Hey, I got a surprise for you on something that you don't know about this movie. Check this out, right? So, at the end of towards the end of the movie, the last little bit of the movie when they're in the final showdown, right? Doug and Maz. Doug goes into a bunch of rattlesnakes. So rattlesnakes have a thing to do with the end of this movie, okay? Rattlesnakes.
Scary.
Now, if you don't know much about snakes, see, I don't know much about snakes, but I know for a fact that a rattlesnake is probably venomous. Mm-hmm. And they can probably bite you and kill you, or severely injure you without medical attention, correct? Now, you would think that if we brought rattlesnakes on a film production set, we would have professional handlers, we would have a medical with an ambulance in case something goes wrong. They might have de-venom snakes.
You'll need like a Manny from the, what was that show?
Wild Boys.
Wild Boys, yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah,
you
think
them.
there would be a Manny there. There's not. They just did it. Those were real rattlesnakes, with real venom. There was no medical staff there. In case something happened, they just did it.
Like the actors were doing the snakes?
Yeah.
Could you imagine getting an actor to do that now?
They just grabbed the snake. Ruby grabbed the snake. I don't think she had any prior experience. She grabbed the rattlesnake. And that was it. That's fucking scary.
That's scarier than the movie.
That's really that's the scariest part of the movie. Now that you know, even though it's real, now it's even worse. I'm never gonna look at that scene ever again the same way.
No way.
Because you think it's a movie, they're protected somehow. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Those were real rattlesnakes, my friend.
I can't top that. Those are some good 2 facts there.
I know, 2 facts is all you need. 2 facts, all you need.
Right, yeah, right there. That's all you got.
Yeah, right up in your cornhole, into your brain. We just did.
How you like that?
You like that now. Now, are there anything, you sure you don't know any other facts of this movie? You like to say you're done, but then you come in with another fact. Are you sure you're done?
No, I'm done.
Okay, I'm done too. So, yeah, we're gonna go now. Yeah.
All right, see you later. Mr. Ozark Mark.
Yes, hello. What do you want?
I want to know, do you think if you were perhaps double dating with another couple, would you survive this situation?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Like now?
Yeah.
Now in present day. Like if we plan this trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Because I would have had my gun on me and my wife would have had her gun on her.
Yeah.
And that's a full clip of 12 shots. We shoot regularly. One of our guns even have lasers on them. So, we would survive quite easily.
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Yep.
Besides, I would never leave the camper. Anyway, at night, no. No. I would go in the daytime with a gun, not at night. In the middle of nowhere, no. Probably not.
The only thing I would consider is going underneath it just to keep an eye.
I would just say, let's build a fire and wait till dawn. That's it. That's it. Yes, I would easily survive this situation.
I think so too.
Did the mutant family originally have a gun too, or did they find that gun?
It was their gun they took.
Oh, there's their gun. Okay. Yeah, they only had a 6-shooter too. A revolver. So.
But I imagine it's like, some Texas Chainsaw shit. After some while, you're gonna accumulate a certain amount of vehicles, walkie-talkies, weapons.
Sure. I
can't get over their furs. They just had a cool outfit on, man. Like if If Pluto came up to you, you'd be like, holy shit, we gotta get out of here, dog.
Yeah. Also, I probably would have never been in this situation because I would have never sped up and continued through a air bomb field. Like, as soon as I realized it was an air bomb field, I'm turning around and going back.
What if our wives were driving?
I would get out of the way, move over, get out of the car, and go around. I'm taking the driver. I'm getting this fuck out of here.
Yep, I think we could have made it out quite easily. But these are just fun things to evaluate.
Do you want to know, not to be like an asshole or anything, but I think this is like would be a real legit thing to watch on TV, and I think a lot of people would do it. You take like random female drivers, not professional, just everyday random female drivers, okay? Put them in a car without a backup camera. Okay? Put them in a car without a backup camera and have different levels of reversing, and then you will find a winner. Like the first level is a straight driveway. 2 of them are gone already. Now we're down to 8. Now we're going to do a driveway with a hill. Still reversed back. Now you're going to have to pull it. You know what I mean?
That's a great idea for a show, Mark.
It is. I'm telling you. Now you're going
The
to
final test is parallel parking
Oh, man.
and city traffic.
Dude, that's hard for some people now. Everybody. Parallel parking is one of the hardest things to do, I believe.
Yeah.
It's the most pain in the ass, at least.
But like after you do it, you know what you're doing.
No, maneuverability with the cones, that's the easiest shit in the world.
Yeah.
Easiest shit in the world. You pay attention to one mirror the entire time. As long as you're close to the cone, if your cone is close to this mirror, you're not going to hit anything else.
You're good.
You're good.
You're good. You get wheel to wheel, you line it up, then you find your pivot point, you get in there, baby.
You get right in there like swimwear, baby. Yeah.
And then you hit both cars. That wouldn't be good.
Would not be good at all.
Nope. I'm surprised the station wagon didn't last for more, but it held up at the end a little bit. They made some kind of contraption to trap that guy. They trapped Jupiter with it was almost like a steel cable kind of lasso that they put on the empty wheel well, and they just floored the gas pedal and
that was a very creative trap. I like how they put the mom at the dead grandma out as bait.
Yeah.
and they're like, we can't even do this. She's like, shut up. But that was a creative little trap, and I like the blowing up of the camper too. That was another good one. Have the matches on the floor. Very creative way to get them. I love that.
Yeah,
I thought that was good.
They said, we don't really know how far everybody needs to back up because we don't know how big this is going to be. It was just we're just going to blow it up. Yeah. We're going to see what happens.
There's no way he'd survive that anyway. Let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was a massive explosion.
It was, bro.
You were dead. He was opening the door to the thing that exploded. Like, flames completely would have gone around you and you would have been dead.
Oh, yeah. The explosion, the shockwave would have destroyed you, too.
I love how Papa Jupiter is running. Like, when he's running towards the camper, him and Jupiter, he's just like...
I know. I want that as a poster, like them two running. I would definitely... People were like, what is this, an Indian tribe? You're like, nah. Hills have eyes. Is this a war chief? No.
Hills have eyes.
No, that's Papa Jupiter.
Did you enjoy the remake?
I didn't hate the remake. So... I like the look of the mutants better in the first. I like everything about the first one better. But...
Did it pay homage to it?
It did. It had definitely a different feel to it, though.
Well, that's what you're going to get when you recreate movies. I mean, you add your little touch to them, no matter what you do, if you remake something or continue something, That's
Sometimes
what it is.
they can catch that same wavelength as at least the franchise where you're like, okay, this feels like it. It just felt like a completely different movie, almost like you could have named it something, and it would have took me a while to be like, oh, this is kind of like Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, it's hard to match the magic of anything. You can't recreate something. You can only pay homage to it and make a different version of it. You can't remake something. It's not remake; it's a new version, really. Speaking of which,
what?
Speaking of which,
what?
It's time to rate this movie.
Let's do it.
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Wow.
Hey, Hello there. Welcome to the official Stamp Up in Your Ass Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Okay, this is the great segment where the horror nerd himself, Mr. Christian Ramey, rates this movie on a horror scale that he has created for the ultimate things that make a horror movie a horror movie. What the fuck are you laughing at?
I just thought when you said horror, like when I just waved, could you make a thing that says nerd? Like when I waved at, I was like, he's about to put nerd above me and point at me. Like,
stop adding from there. Yeah, I'll do that. So it already happened, but we're talking about it in weird times. Stop doing that. Now, where was I? Yes. So we're going to rate this movie in a series of 4 categories. 3 of the categories are worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1 point for a total of
10 points altogether.
That is correct. So, Christian Ramey, let's get into the first category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is casting.
So this one I really find split up the middle. There's some really good acting, and then there's kind of like, I don't want to say atrocious, but just like subpar. But, you know, it's a 70s exploit picture. I mean, I imagine everybody got paid in a pack of cigarettes and some McDonald's. Like, people probably didn't make much money from this. So, you got Dee Wallace. She's a legendary actress. Like, I cannot say, like, there's no good actors or actresses in this. Michael Berryman was great. Who the hell played Papa Jupiter is the question. I don't even know that guy's name. But I thought he did a good job, too. So the mutants were great. I thought the dad was great. The mom and dad were, like, realistic to me. Like, they felt real. Like, that couple really felt married. To me, like, at least. They portrayed that very well. But I feel like it's kind of, like, right in the middle. So, like, because it's 70s exploit picture that was meant for drive-ins. So, like, the acting isn't superior. I mean, I thought even Grandpa's Fred, when he was talking to the dad, kind of like telling him the story of how like his wife had like a mutant baby that was, you know, Jupiter, and then, you know, he dropped him off in the desert, and he just has this guilt because he knows what they've become. And I don't know, I thought that was kind of a great scene, but I think 1.5 is fair.
1.5.
Yeah.
So far on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating.
Does that feel fair?
Yeah, it's fair. I agree with that.
Okay.
Let's get into the second category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is kills. Hit me with it.
Feeling too. I mean, there's just quite a wide variety, and you do get people burned alive. Dude got like stake through his hand, like crucified. I mean, we got some stabbings going on. We're getting attacked with a rattlesnake, some stabbings in the leg. People are getting shot. You know, I think we have to put in perspective that this is 1977, and like if we saw this in 77, this would be Saw. This would be like there was no like match level. I mean, there were movies that were definitely a lot more rugged, but not in the mainstream culture. So I just think there's a wide variety of them, and they're unexpected, like in a way to me. Like, I didn't expect him to be burnt alive. That dude falling off a cliff. You got a little humor kill in there. You got some serious moments. Like you said, the ending. Like he stabs him like a mad amount of times.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't know. What do you feel? You feel it's either a 2 or a 1.5. Like for me, it's also getting like right there.
I don't know if you're putting it into perspective. As a 70s picture, it'd be 2. Mm-hmm. If you're talking nowadays, it'd be 1.5. So. Do you want to go from this perspective of when this time frame was, or do you want to go in this perspective of today?
I want to go with 2 because I'm not doing your parental guide dance, but I'm just saying, like, if you had a young person or a person, like, there's a wide amount of, like, gory shit going on, and including the SA scene, you know? So it's like there's just, like, a wide... Yeah, and it's not a kill, but it's, like, it's pretty, like, it's graphic. It's visceral. Sure. It's in your face. Yep. So.
Okay, so 2. Mm-hmm. So that's 3.5 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the final 3-point category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. And that is fear.
So, we're not going to rate this as 77. Now, in 1977, what did everybody not have in their pocket?
A cell phone.
That's right, Mark. It doesn't matter where you're at now. Pretty much, you're going to find bars or at least an emergency line, or you're going to find a way to put your phone in a spot where it can get bars. Somebody's going to have a hotspot. You're going to be able to figure this shit out. It's like the Titanic. Like, I mean, yes, that's terrifying still, but like if your boat goes down, literally everybody on the boat can make a phone call and be like, hey, we're sinking. Like, everyone would know. There would be a lot of, like, people aware. So, city folks traveling into rural areas, I mean, that's why we get your Texas Chainsaw Massacres and whatever. And there's still a freaky element to that. Like, wrong turn movies still exist. There's still movies that can play on that. But for me, I'm thinking it's a 1. Because that still exists, being stuck in the middle of the woods, or, you know, some people are messing with you, or in the middle of the desert. Some place that you're just not... It doesn't have a McDonald's up the corner. It doesn't have an ice cream store up the corner. Like, you don't have all, you know, the gas station. Everything that you're used to in your life, you're able to go to, that's not there. So that's a little freaky. Even if you do have a phone or whatever, maybe if it was the strange occurrence where they couldn't get signal or whatever, okay, that'll get you a 1. That'll get you a 1.
All right, so that is 4.5 out of 10. For the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, let's get into the final 1-point category for half a point each from me and you, which is rewatchability.
Wes Craven's my favorite horror director, so I can always watch his films. Yeah, so this is a yeah for me.
So obviously for you.
Mark?
It's a classic, man. The Hills Have Eyes. I'm sure there's some point in this my life I will be rewatching this movie again. It's going to pop up.
That's fair.
But it's just, again, it's nothing. It makes things rewatchable because it's not an intense story. It's kind of mindless, really, half the time. It's plain and simple.
It'll make you laugh.
Family gets stuck. Mutants try to kill you. That's it. That's the basis of it. So things like that are more rewatchable.
Yeah, and I guarantee you'll laugh.
Yeah. So that is 1.5, 2, 3.5, 4.5. So it's 5.5 out of 10. For The Hills Have Eyes, 1977. On Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, officially.
That's fair.
Man.
That's fair.
Man.
That's fair.
It's a very fair score for this movie, yes.
I think so, too, because obviously Wes Craven dominated for 30 years. I mean, obviously... In the 70s, I would say this picture more so than than Last House on the Left, then obviously, 1984, Nightmare on Elm Street just dominated, right? Dominated a landscape. And then, obviously, in 1996 with Scream, he managed to, like, really have three decades of, like, flexing on folks. So, when he was first coming up, he's just trying to make some films, You're pulling all these strings together, and that's where sometimes I think people fall victim of criticizing Rob Zombie too. They don't realize when somebody's passionate and they're making a lot of this on their own dime, it's supposed to look like some shit you ain't seen before. Like even in House of a Thousand Corpses, like the scenes like where Otis is with the cheerleaders, or like the scenes that feel like they're shot on a handheld camera. It's because they are. Rob had to shoot some scenes with his own camera in his house, and then he says going back, I think I like those scenes more than any of the others because they just look different. And I agree with that, man. Like I think obviously this film is one of those films. It wasn't meant to be critically analyzed at a very deep level when it was made. It was just made to maybe this will work.
Yeah. Man, let's try this.
Yeah.
This might work. Who knows?
Let's put some crazy shit in here. Let's make it work. And that's Wes Craven.
That's Wes Craven, baby.
But he really has always been, even though I mentioned the Americana family thing that he does, he's also pretty dark, man. Like even think how he played it out in Scream. Like, all right, you got Sydney, her mom died. He's been breaking her balls that she won't put out because she's still, mourning over her mother's loss. On the anniversary of her death 1 year later, he reveals that he killed her, and now he's going to kill her. It's like, Jesus Christ, Wes. Like, fuck, dude. Like you're damn, bro. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you all right? He just like, yeah, I like that. I like that. He likes to assault the audience. That's one of his premises, and I kind of like that sometimes, man. It leaves you walking away, even if people under the stairs. Another banger, dude. He has a crown in the genre. Okay, whoever's your favorite's all subjective. You know, if you're like John Carpenter's the best, Tobe Hooper's the best, Dario Argento, whatever, doesn't matter. I get it. But for me, his oeuvre of work fucking represents my childhood. Like, if you pick out any one of his movies, it's just like, yep. I just loved his work, and I fell onto it really early. So, yeah, man. Rest in peace, dog. He gone.
He did.
He had died. He's not around anymore. Mark, we're getting to the final moments here. I want to know what your final thoughts, all right? What's your final thoughts? Because we do have a parental guidance, but we're running close on time. So maybe you could just, like, hit me real quick. Just hit me. How old?
I missed you, mister.
Mr. Rollsock.
Tell them if they're old enough
How old?
to watch that scary stuff.
Shits.
For the parents who give up.
Yeah.
So you want to know how old? Let's see here. Okay.
Yeah,
Real
how
quick, rapid fire, baby. There is some rape, but it's very subjective. Could go right over your head.
Yes.
If you're younger, no nudity, violence, dead dog, burnt man, same and stuff. Probably about 14.
That's a good age. 14.
Probably 14, and you'll be fine with everything. And besides, young people aren't going to want to watch this anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Unless
gonna
they're
be-
like
they're
a
not-
cinephile.
Their attention span is the size of a peanut. Like, they will be away from this instantly. If you could get a kid younger than 14 to watch this movie, I will applaud you, because there's no way you can do it anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
No way.
So I like that. 14. That's a very fair answer.
Absolutely.
Folks?
I'm not putting 14 kids on the screen.
No.
Dude, I did that last week.
Can you just put like a moody 14-year-old on the screen?
All right, that's better. Because it's still weird though. Like, god damn it, can we get some like 18-year-old movies or something? Because I'm telling you, when you Google pictures of kids, you don't feel right when you do it.
Well, you
It
could just
feel
type
weird.
in like emo kid now. You know, that works. You know, that
I guess so too, but it was up there and it's there. So rock and roll, baby.
kid with a 14th birthday cake.
All right, man. Well, yes, we are. We are coming up on the final moments here, Christopher Ramey, of this episode.
Folks,
Any final thoughts? Christopher Ramey's final thoughts. Go.
I live, breathe, and sleep horror. This is my life. This is what I do. From sun up to sundown, I just, think about horror movies. It's my only family. And I will do this no matter what, till my heart stops. But if you're looking for a fun way to support the show, don't forget to visit patreon.com/sloppyhorror. And for less than a cup of coffee a month, you can support us in a fun little way and get a bunch of bonus content, and you can help us support our dream of Ozark being the best producer in the world and me being the nerdiest of horror nerds in the whole entire world. We couldn't do it without you guys, so if you've made it this far, seriously, thank you. And if you can't, doesn't sound like something you like, that's fine. You just make sure whatever platforms you're listening, you're following, leave a review. I'm not asking you to lie. Just, leave reviews. Those really help. Obviously, we're on many different platforms. So, you get 10 seconds in your day, scoot your little ass over to YouTube, type in Sloppy Horror Podcast, just add a subscribe. That's all it takes. It's free, and it helps us out. So, couldn't do it without you folks, and we got to pay it forward and let you guys know that. And we thank you for returning week after week, letting us talk about spooky shit and honestly laughing our asses off. That's what I like. Ozark, Mark, is there anything else you want to, sprinkle on the cake there? You want to light a flame?
No, there's nothing at all. There's like 3 monitors behind me. It is hot in here. I am dying. So
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
I don't know why I get so hot easily. It sucks. I know a bitch about it all the time, but god damn, I cannot wait to turn the fan on and get more water, because this is what I've been given, folks, okay? If you're on YouTube, you see this? This is like a mouthful of water in this bottle. This is what I get. So, that's all my final thoughts. But thanks for joining us again once again. We will be back next week with another fantastic movie for you in the summer series if you're a current listener.
That's it, folks.
Good for you.
That's it. That's all we got for you.
I'm out this bitch.